going to hear something that every other person has been too freaking scared to tell you. But I'm breaking this cone of silence because I'm sick of the games, I'm sick of the hype, and I'm sick of the BS we've all been fed. But I'm going to put a stop to it right now.
From CNSnews.com, DHS explains plans to buy 1.6 billion rounds of ammo. We're buying in bulk to significantly lower costs.
Stop being naive. It's gonna get us all hurt. It's 1.4 billion rounds. It's 1.4 billion. 1.4 billion. 1.4 billion. 1.4 billion. I am fired up. Get you out of your trance. Wake up. Purchases by the Department of Homeland Security. Now, last year they bought 250 million rounds. That was the biggest one-time purchase in domestic law enforcement history. This year they bought 450 million rounds. That raised eyebrows. Then they bought 750 million. That was a month ago. Since then, they've bought over 50 million more. They're arming every agency out there. So, folks, you cannot make up how much trouble we're in.
Well, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, along with the U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Office, have placed a large and rather interesting order. They've ordered 450 million rounds of ammunition.
This is what you order if you plan to make things go road warrior and fully collapse into armored government fortress mode.
There are only about 311 million people living in the entire country, so it begs the question, why such a massive order, 450 million bullets?
I mean, what is that, 3 or 4 bullets for every person in the United States? We're 312 million or something? What is that? There's 312 million people in the U.S., so what is that, 4 bullets for each person? More than 4 bullets for every man, woman, and child in this country. That's like 5 rounds for every person in the country.
Enough ammunition to kill every man, woman, and child in the United States 6 times over?
That's like 7 rounds for every person that's of able body.
It was 6 bullets for one person. I don't know how many it is now. They probably empty a full clip on you now.
Developments continue. The Department of Homeland Security buying ammunition, now looking to purchase another 21 million rounds of ammunition. This in addition, of course, to the 1.6 billion rounds that Homeland Security has bought in just the past 10 months. Now, to put all of this in perspective, the military used approximately 70 million rounds each year of the Iraq War. 70 million rounds in a war.
That is conservatively 10 times, because you can go back to the previous year and the year before that, 10 times what domestic, quote, law enforcement has ever bought. 10 times.
But we can't help but wonder why the Department of Homeland Security should need more than 20 times as much ammunition as it took to fight the Iraq War.
The purchase of all of this ammunition, as you said, right, 20 times what we needed for the war in Iraq every year, and the fact that you want to take away people's guns, you want to kill Americans, and now what we've got is a scenario where the president is talking about a civilian national security board. What is this?
And what are we doing in this country when we are willing to suspend individual rights, due process as we understand it, when we're willing to just sort of close our eyes and not pay attention to the fact that the Department of Homeland Security is picking up more ammunition, for crying out loud, than the Marine Corps?
Well, some lawmakers want to know why the Department of Homeland Security is apparently on a huge ammo buying spree.
So just now, people are starting to notice and catch up with this, which is kind of sorry that, you know, it took this long for Congress to notice. But it happened because, you know, people were freaking out when these numbers got out. We don't want that. The last thing we want certainly would be for TSA to be armed. But, whew, just now, they're figuring this out.
This is a just placed order for more than 300,000 bullets, just the latest in a series of contracts that could add up to more than 1.5 billion rounds of ammo Critics say that's enough bullets to supply the equivalent of the Iraq War for 24 years, and they want to know why the DHS is doing it.
People are wondering why, for example, is the Social Security Administration getting almost 200,000 rounds of hollow point ammunition?
The DHS is primarily buying hollow point rounds. They're twice as expensive as full metal jackets.
40 caliber ammunition, high performance bullets. Apparently these bullets, quote, provide optimum penetration for terminal performance. This refers to the way the tip of the bullet passes through barriers and expands, all the while holding its jacket in the toughest conditions.
That kind of ammo that they purchased from ATK, hollow point ammunition, as you had explained, it's designed to, tear through human flesh and then expand. It's designed to kill people. This is not the optimal kind of ammo you would buy for target practice. It's more expensive and it's more precise.
What is it about our Social Security checks and administration that we have guys toting hollow point around with them? Now, if it's for target practice, there's an awful lot of hollow point going out to these various agencies that aren't appropriate for target practice because they're much more costly rounds.
And they said, oh, it's just target practice. We're like, those are hollow point. You don't use that. Oh, yes, you do. Well, anybody who shoots know you don't. So it goes on and on and on. How do you spin that? Oh, we use hollow points at the shooting range. Yeah, that's what we use. See, that's what they think of you. They think you're dumb. They lie by omission, knowingly, across the media. They're collaborators, selling us out to tyranny. Pathetic, mindless idiots.
Now, that is a serious question because there is a problem with access to ammunition, according to some local law enforcement agents in various pockets of the country. People have been complaining that they can't get ammo for some reason right now.
Again, these are questions we want the DHS to answer for us. They have acknowledged our letter. Myself and 14 other members of the House have put this letter together forward together. And so they've acknowledged that. They say they're working on it. And so we will give them the opportunity to process that and let us know what it is. So, but the fact still remains, all told, it's about 2 billion rounds out there.
The past year, depending on who you ask, anywhere from 1.4 to over 2 billion rounds of ammunition purchased by DHS, $37.26 million on ammunition in fiscal year 2013. Last year, $36.5 million.
And yes, local law enforcement is having a hard time. They're having to buy from people they know that might have a stash of them. I think these are very appropriate for what we need to do.
Understood, sir. Well, I appreciate you coming on. You're not the only congressman who has written a letter.
DHS to purchase another 750 million rounds of ammo. Second massive ammunition buy this year. Fuels fears of civil unrest. Gee, you think when they're buying hundreds of armored mobile pillboxes for the highways, armored checkpoint facilities, giant black armored vehicles being delivered to police departments with Homeland Security on the side with gun turrets on the top, gunboats for the lakes and rivers with big twin machine gun mounts on the top. Your money, 30,000 drones, arming police drones. Federal training, military doing checkpoints everywhere, Marines doing DWI checkpoints in the middle of, major cities.
In terms of the trucks, we actually have a video of these trucks so you can see for themselves. I'm not saying Marines don't have these big armored trucks, but you see right there on your screen, nowhere on that vehicle does it say U.S. Marines. We'll keep watching. Homeland Security, police, and police rescue. Okay, Homeland Security, police rescue. The guy has police written on his jacket there, police on his helmet. This guy is dressed up in Homeland Security outfits. You see police in the background, police on the truck, Homeland Security, police, Homeland Security, and more police. And they say they need that for warrant enforcement. They need a mine-proof truck for warrant enforcement because we know the Crips and Bloods have a stockpile of mines. So, yes, they do have those for DHS. There you go. Proof.
Now, this is the second boat of what will eventually be a total of 6 34-foot shallow water interceptors to patrol the Rio Grande River. As the Texas Highway Patrol goes on a wild spending spree, these hot rod boats cost approximately $600,000 each. And yes, that's taxpayer money to fight Al-Qaeda and the small-time drug traffickers on the Texas rivers.
What in the world is going on as the the Department of Homeland Security seems to be arming up and the administration's trying to disarm American citizens?
Televangelist Pat Robertson has become the latest prominent conservative to question why the Department of Homeland Security is engaged in an apparent arms buildup, asking if the 1.6 billion bullets purchased by the federal agency will be used against the American people. And here's the clip.
Long trains full of armored vehicles, personnel carriers with armor. What are they for? The Army going into battle against the enemy? They're used by Homeland Security against us. Ronald Reagan said the most fearful statement in the English language is, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help you."
Oh boy, I totally agree.
Imagine what Homeland Security is doing. It's just awful. But we're going to talk about how much ammunition they're stockpiling. Who are they going to shoot? Us?
DHS purchased 200 million more rounds of ammunition. They already have over 1 billion. Oh, okay, well, let me read the article. DHS purchases 200 million more rounds of ammunition. And let me assure you that these are some big, hard-hitting rounds. I've had a chance to shoot these myself. These aren't, little play rounds. These are some serious sniper ammunition. The article goes on to say that over 1.2 billion bullets have been purchased in the last 6 months alone.
The Department of Homeland Security bought even more ammunition to add to their high-capacity magazines and staggering pile of 1.6 billion rounds.
Well, the federal government continues to arm itself to the teeth while the Obama administration pushes for gun control. Earlier this week, it was announced that the Department of Homeland Security has awarded a company a contract worth over $45,000 to provide the DHS with 200,000 more rounds of bullets. This new purchase adds to the staggering figure of 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition that has already been secured by the DHS over the last 9 months. I mean, this is an arsenal that they have right now that would be enough to wage a full-scale 7-year ground war against the American people. I mean, it is truly staggering, the stockpile of weapons and ammunition that has been recently accumulated by the federal government. Meanwhile, the federal government, they can go out and purchase billions of rounds of ammunition, and the mainstream media doesn't even question it. So, it's definitely a double standard there.
Bottom line, now hundreds of millions more bullets they're buying, 1.6+ billion checkpoints, highway checkpoints, TSA checkpoints in Austin now. I mean, it's accelerating. They're buying armored vehicles and 1.6 billion bullets and arming to the teeth and building bunkers because they know everything's going to collapse by design to consolidate it, and they hope you're too stupid to understand that.
Look, I'm sure you're a shooter. I'm a shooter. I go to the range once or twice a week. They're rationing ammunition because the federal government is buying it all. What does that tell you? I mean, this is crazy, Alex. I think it's because of these DHS acquisitions and purchases and dozens and dozens of other government agencies.
Oh, yeah, every week it's like 21 million more, 50 million more, 10 million more, 300,000 more. I mean, it's up to 1.7 billion now in the last 15 months.
And that's just DHS. That's just DHS.
That's just DHS.
We don't have the figures yet for when you add up all the other agencies.
Yeah, so DHS won't explain its purchase of 450 million rounds of 40 cal. That's their standard sidearm. They're arming every agency you can imagine. So let's be clear. 250 million rounds last year, 450 million they bought a few months ago, and now 750 million. So that's, what is that, 1.4 billion? 1.4 billion rounds of ammo for the American people. I mean, these are just lawless crooks. We're talking about the 1.4 billion rounds of ammo. where we went and said, wow, 1.4 billion rounds. You got 1.4 billion rounds of ammo. Articles with the Army manuals admitting re-education camps, FEMA camps, with links to the Army.mil. The so-called federal government, openly run by foreign banks, got 250 million rounds of hollow point 40 caliber general issue ammo, just an off-the-chart giant order. Then, a few months ago, they ordered 450 million rounds. We have United Press International, Associated Press on this. Paul Watson's got a big article breaking the whole thing down. Today, they've announced the order for 750 million more rounds of ammo. That is 1.4 billion. 1.4 billion. I looked at past orders. The feds would order 500,000 rounds of ammo at a time for DHS. I mean, how many of them are really shooting their guns or even practicing? This is a seismic digging in build-up level. The Drudge Report did and others and said, wow, this is real. Why are they buying 1.4 billion? Why has 1.4 billion rounds of ammo been purchased? I told you, November they bought 250 million. In March, they bought 450 million.
And they actually they have an open bid right now, DHS, for even more ammunition for 175 million rounds of .223 caliber rifle ammo, which some people online have brought up is almost identical to the ammunition used by NATO peacekeeping forces.
And in early August, they bought 750 million. They've bought over 50 million since then and then classified it. So we're not learning anything new. How do you spin that if you're the corporatist paid-off press? Because at first they were reporting on it after we reported on it like it was no big deal. Okay, but then when people started going, well, wait, that's 1.4 billion rounds of ammo.
The Department of Homeland Security, an agency that has no business being armed in the first place, says it's buying billions of rounds of ammunition in order to significantly lower costs.
Tom Coburn, Senator Coburn, has written a letter as well. On February 4th, DHS responded to that and said, in part, look, we routinely do this, and said these strategic sourcing contracts help leverage the purchasing power of DHS.
So if you believe the baloney argument that this ammo is being bought to save money, then why are they buying bullets that cost twice as much? Because the DHS tells us that the bullets are for training purposes only. So why, if you want to save money, are you training with bullets that cost twice as much money? You could just as easily use Full Metal Jacket and save half the amount of money. So their explanation, buying in bulk to save money, just doesn't wash.
That's the best excuse for this? Really?
We were questioning the fact is why DHS buying over 1.4 billion bullets, mostly hollow points, different calibers. Why are they making those purchases in addition to all the other preparations they're making?
1.4 billion rounds of ammo. Paul Watson's article deals with 450 million rounds of 40 cal. And 750 million rounds. That's not all of it. We've got links to the PDF of the purchase order. It's 1 million of this, 1 million of that.
If the feds, if this is such not a big deal, why are they blacking out certain parts of their purchase orders so we can't know what the bullets are for? That was one about Fed sensors bullet buys. Why are they buying 1.4 billion bullets when they made, before that they never made purchases anywhere close?
1.4 billion rounds of 40 cal have been purchased in the last year. That dwarfs anything ever imagined.
So those are the kind of questions we're asking. And the mainstream media, instead of asking those questions along with us, oh, all they want's 174,000. What's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal. It's a big deal that our government is arming with hollow point bullets, which are against the Geneva Convention, for presumably to quell any civil unrest that'll be brought about by these bankers. So there it is right there. DHS classifies new ammo purchases following controversy. Why didn't they ask about that? Look, they're blacking out ammo purchases. What's wrong? I mean, what do they have to hide? If they don't have anything to hide, why not tell us what's going on with these ammo purchases? It stinks to high heaven, and we've got the mainstream media complicit. There's no reason why the DHS needs 1.4 billion plus bullets.
While it has been previously reported that DHS has solicited the purchase of 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition over the next 4 to 5 years, the government agency shows only 263 million rounds in its current inventory. Oh, only 263 million rounds. Isn't that reassuring? But it estimates that it will spend, and this is where we get to the point, for all you Republicans who are outraged but still want the government to be in charge of national defense, $37.26 million on ammunition in fiscal year 2013. Last year, $36.5 million.
Which is they're not saving money because the bullets they're buying cost twice as much as standard firing range training bullets that they could be buying. So Homeland Security, again, is not being honest with the American people, just as they lied about the safety of, the X-ray body scanners for years before being forced to remove them. It appears that they're lying once again.
What's happening there? They're counting on the public not going and looking at the documents or not going and finding out there really are 2 billion bullets. They're playing mind games with you. So as Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. Speak out. Tell the truth. Show the evidence. It's on the federal government's own websites. And more people will start having the courage to tell the truth. Like Pat Robertson. He's coming out more and more and criticizing tyranny.
Long trains full of armored vehicles, personnel carriers with armor. What are they for? The Army going into battle against the enemy? They're used by Homeland Security against us.
They're buying AR-15s, fully automatic. They're buying all these uniforms for the TSA.
I've got to ask you this. What do you make of the 2 billion bullets they're buying, the armored vehicles, all that craziness?
The fact that they won't answer the question is more disturbing than anything. I mean, they create their own paranoia. What do they need that for? Just answer the question. It's our money. It's our tax dollars. Why in a recession would you need that? I find it ironic they put out a release saying they were cutting all this training because of the sequester. Well, what are you doing with the bullets then if you don't need them for... I don't understand.
And remember, the Department of Homeland Security, I mean, they are becoming virtually a domestic army with what they've got, the weapons, 2 billion rounds of ammo. It's all hollow point that they can't use on the field of battle. Those are designed for the citizens of the United States, and that's one of the main barriers that we have in our system of government is we do not use the Army, federal troops, to patrol American cities. That's the job and the responsibility of local law enforcement. If you need more than that, you bring in the National Guard. Again, the National Guard in your own state. So major departure here. We could be seeing Department of Homeland Security patrolling the streets of a town near you.
Okay, the bullets are real. The FEMA camps are real. Fukushima's real. I'm real, buddy. You know what? I'm not lying to anybody. I'm not lying to myself. I'm not lying to you. It's hard to lie. You got to keep track of stuff. I don't have to keep track of jack squat but the facts.
Well, let me put it in official CNN Piers Morgan interview terms, shall I?
Yes.
My limey friend?
Yes.
Anybody that wants to disarm me can drop dead. Anybody that wants to make me unarmed and helpless, people that want to literally create the proven places where more innocents are killed, called gun-free zones, we're going to beat you. We're going to vote you out of office or suck on my machine gun. You can take it whichever way you want.
I'd love to.
I think we have to thank God that he sent Barack Obama, because this guy is so destined to destroy everything good about America. His policies, his scam, his lying, his deceit, his State of the Union, his campaigning. Smart people who love to hear flowery, desirable speech are starting to realize the guy's a scam artist. And he is so arrogant in his scamming that it's become very apparent now.